I had almost 100 grand in student loans.
Ouch.
And so my mom did the best, helping me with like, private loans. And out of school, Jason, I got this career in, credit research, started at Loomis Sales. But I refinanced my student loan, shy of 100K, 2 years out. I paid it off completely. I had no debt. It was my goal 4 years after. I remember I sat on the bench facing the Boston Tea Party and cried during lunch. I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna get out of debt. And I did it. A few years after that, like I said, I picked up that NOLO's first homeowner guide, 3% mortgage. I taught myself all of this. Yes, you can. And I think that kids just need confidence. They need confidence that yes, you can do it. And in the moment, it seems hard, right? I never thought I was gonna pay off this.
Right.
I never thought I was gonna own my own place. And now I'm here down in Miami.
Welcome to Take the Power Back, where the opportunity here is for us to change the narrative on Gen Z and to inspire them to entrepreneurship. And I'm delighted today to introduce my financial advisor. I guess technically you're my financial advisor, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Emily Richards. Welcome, Emily Richards. Did I say that right?
Emily Richard.
Oh,
it's Richard
like
though in America.
Target.
I don't go around introducing myself like that though.
How do you introduce yourself?
Emily Richard.
Oh.
Or Emily.
So is it Richard?
It's Richard, French Canadian.
But Mickool is Mickool.
Mickool.
That's Lebanese.
Did you make that up?
No, that's true. That's true story. My grandfather came over on Ellis Island and they said, "What's your name?" And he goes, "Mickool, Mickool, Mickool." And they were like, "We don't know what you're saying." So they, I think I've told you this. The good news and bad news is I'm the only Jason Mickool spelt this way on the whole planet.
Oh wow.
So is there another Emily Richards out there?
There was
Richards.
one actually. Now that I think of it, I played, I played violin with her.
Okay.
In high school, she was the first chair. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she was
She's the only one.
Yeah, she's the only other one.
Well, I appreciate you doing this for me.
Of course.
We are on the lovely city of Miami.
Yes.
At the moment.
Thank goodness.
Thank goodness, where it's warm.
For 80-degree weather.
Right. And I actually met Emily through JP Morgan Private Client Group,
yes.
right? Private bank. She owns a place down here. I was doing some work down here, and we decided to link up and do this. So thank you.
Of course. Happy to be here.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do today?
Of course.
I know
yeah.
financial advisor can mean a lot of things. It can mean anything. So
yeah. So right now I'm an investment specialist at JP Morgan Private Bank. I work with ultra high net worth clients such as yourself. And it ranges from a suite of investment solutions, from hedging concentrated positions. We work with a lot of biotech and life science community in Boston, to setting up portfolio asset allocation, implementing tax loss harvesting strategies, to building out municipal bond ladders.
Okay.
So it's been great. I've been there for almost 3 years now.
Okay.
And I can kind of talk about my career path, but was not doing that before.
Well, it's just fascinating to me. I would have never said you only been doing it 3 years. You're very knowledgeable and you're very pleasant to deal with, very comfortable in your own skin. So how did you get to this position?
So what happened was I was work from home. I was working at Liberty Mutual Investments.
Okay.
I was in credit research, so I was a fixed income bond nerd, and had
Boring.
done that. Oh, trust me. That's why I was wearing the turtleneck, and I was this whole other persona before. But so I did that after undergrad. And at Liberty Mutual, we were work from home, and I was in Excel building out LBO and DCF models. And I said, this is it.
That's it.
This is it. I'm not talking to people. My client is an insurance company, and that's fine. And I learned a lot, and I'm so grateful for the team. It was great. But I said, I need to learn more. And I think my whole life I've always put myself in uncomfortable positions. I want challenges. I want to develop myself and my skills. And I really questioned, am I doing that here? And the answer was no.
Right.
I was covering up and down the cap stack, investment grade, high yields. We did a lot of private credit. But I said, maybe it's time to look a little bit more. I want to be in the office 5 days. I want to be facing people. I'm a people person. I want to be interacting and learning outside of fixed income, other asset classes. So I took interviews in New York. I thought I was going to move to New York and it didn't work out. And then I got a LinkedIn DM from my now manager at JP Morgan. He says, hey, we have this open position on the desk. The private bank didn't know a lot about it. And he said, would you be interested? I said, sure.
Sure.
So on a Friday afternoon, we went over. I was working from home, went over to lunch. It was a 2-hour lunch. That was it. He kind of sold me. He says, this is what we do. We help clients tax loss harvest. We sit on the desk. We get to trade all these asset classes, look at funds, evergreen, drawdown, private equity funds. We get to work with the Bains of Boston. I was really intrigued. And obviously the people part drove me to this position. So I took another meeting with the head of investments at the private bank in Boston, who you know. And we had another great lunch. And they...
Is that Jim?
Yes.
Okay.
They brought me in to the office for the third meeting. I met some of the bankers, and then I met the head of the office because I saw him in the Boston Common magazine. And I said, I would love to meet the head of the office. I saw him in this article. I remember he sat down. He goes, how are you going to learn everything outside of fixed income and bonds in this world that you knew? I said, well, let me tell you, and this is part of my story.
I'm wicked smart. Sorry,
I told you it's only after a couple of martinis my Boston accent comes out. But I'm not joking when I make this up. I said, Dan, I picked up, or actually I was gifted a book. It's Nolo's First Guide to Home Purchase or whatever. And I said I picked that up and I taught myself how to take out a mortgage, and I locked in at 3% and bought my own place in Boston. I said, I read, I learn. Anything I don't know, I uncover that rock, and I love learning, and I love people.
That's a key component. You said a couple things right now. So one thing is, I think a lot of times people today are thinking the best place for them to be is work from home. You've done that, and you say, absolutely not.
I think that the work from home, sure it works, but know yourself.
Right.
If I'm working from home, my ADHD, the laundry's going, I'm a little distracted, maybe I'm cooking for myself. I can lock in, but there's nowhere else that's better to be face to face. If I'm putting on a trade and I have a question, I have to turn to my analyst and say, hey, show me how to do this again. Like, you get on the spot learning. Or I hear from other investors that I work with on the desk, like, oh, why do you like that fund again? The idea generation is so much, it's organic and it's so much better in the office and in person. So I am biased.
Right. The collaboration that gets lost, even with Zoom, right? You don't have the same just-in-time training or just-in-time opportunities in front of you.
And do you remember during COVID, they would put, on the calendar, maybe a Zoom, and they would call it open coffee chat, and anyone can go into this open Zoom room. Oh,
did they do that at JP?
We did that a little at Liberty, but still, some people, you wouldn't show up, and it's not the same. It's not the
During
same.
COVID in Florida, it was a completely different world, and we would make people come in.
I'm jealous.
And then somebody would get COVID, and then we'd send them home, and then 5 days later we'd bring them back in, and it was just funny.
It was crazy times.
So you made a choice to pursue your own personal development and get outside of your comfort zone. So what's it like? You start off, you're in the private bank. What's that look like? What do those first 6 months to a year look like in terms of your development?
It was no joke. And I knew that going in, because it's switching a career, and I'm in my late 20s, and everything I knew was credit research. So I was brought in on the desk. I'm the only senior woman investor on the desk, and I love working with the team there. They're amazing. And I had to get licensed. It was SIE, Series 7, 66, health insurance, life insurance. I got that all in under 3 months while studying for CFA 3.
Wow.
Failed by 1 point.
Ouch.
Now I have it.
Ouch. Congratulations,
Thank you.
by the way.
While I was training for the job.
Right.
So I mean, my eyes was twitching every day. I was so overtired. And then the pressure, you're you're on the trading floor. You're trading different assets that I had never traded before,
Yeah.
and that everything's regulated. And I take that very seriously, and I take my job seriously. It's a huge part of who I am, and I was just so grateful. I think you have to have a lot of gratitude when you go through hard, uncomfortable things like that,
Right.
and it's all about the attitude or the perspective that you have, right? Not saying, "Oh, this is terrible. I'm so stressed. I have to take all these exams, and this is the worst part of the job. I hate my job." I said, "No. How blessed am I that I get this opportunity
Right.
to fine tune my skills in, early innings of my career."
Yeah.
So I think gratitude is super important.
You know, people mistake pressure as stress, and I fundamentally believe that pressure is a privilege, right? It's an opportunity. If you're not outside of your comfort zone, then you're not really growing and developing as a person.
Definitely.
But you got to recognize that in yourself,
Totally.
right? So during this discomfort, right, were there ever times you're like, I don't know if I'm going to make it through this, or this is going to be hard?
Completely. There's always that self-doubt. I'm very hard on myself. I'm very type A, very, what can I be doing better? I'm not enough. There's always that voice in my head that's saying, not enough, not enough. What can I be doing to be a better friend, family member, coworker? I always go into my year-end reviews and I'm like, am I getting fired? He's like, your numbers are exceeding the charts. I'm like, really?
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Then
Okay.
I guess I'm not getting fired.
I'm saved. No, but it's just that constant doubt, and I have to remind myself, why I'm there. Again, gratitude. But I do have a story to share about my mentor, Sally Vale. She's over at UBS. She's a dear friend. I knew her before I came over to JP Morgan, and she helped me through that process. And the thesis around our mentorship is about self-love. And I know I might sound a little woo-woo here.
No, bring it on.
But
It's important.
I went to her, and I was introduced through a friend, first off, and she's a rock star. She manages her own team over at UBS, and same background. And I asked her, I said, I want more confidence. I want this professionalism. I want to fine tune my skills. I just, it's not enough. I don't know what else I can do. I'm working, I'm licensed, I have the CFA. Why isn't this enough? Something doesn't feel right. And she goes, it's not about fine tuning any more skills. You're done, Emily. And I was like, well, I got this advice that I should go, to a stand-up comedy, and then maybe that would fine tune some of my speaking skills. She goes, no. She goes, it's self-love. You have to love yourself more. And that helped me through the process, because you have to know yourself and be confident in who you are and what you're doing. So when those moments of self-doubt creep in, oh, I'm not enough. I messed up that trade. I don't know that answer. I didn't speak as eloquently as I should have. You come back to, okay, I love myself. I am enough. And that's good enough. And I'm working towards the next thing.
Did this come a little bit from like an imposter syndrome type
Totally.
of situation?
Oh, totally.
So you're in this new job, big role. You're dealing with rich people that are pains in the asses. I'm one of those, right? So you're like, holy shit, should I really be here?
Can I tell the story of the first pitch that I tried
Of
with
course.
you?
Whatever you
So
want.
I think this is perfect, because it was one of the first, client pitches that I gave, and we're sitting there on the Zoom, and, it's the story we've been talking about of get out of cash and step out, increase duration, lock in higher yields, Fed's cutting, yada, 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 that everyone's been talking about for the last 6 months.
They were wrong, by the way. Eventually right, but they were wrong. No offense.
So I remember, I was all teed up.
Yeah.
My credit research hat was on.
Yeah.
I was ready to talk about the parallel shift in the yield curve. You remember that?
Yes, I do.
And this is the right solution. And I came in. I start rifling off the details. Here's the note. Here's who issued it. Here's what you're going to get in yields. Here's what happens when the parallel shift in the yield curve, blah, blah, blah. And you, Jason, you said, how old are you? How long have you been doing this? I'm in sales here.
Yeah.
And I flunked it bad, my presentation, because I came from this credit research background of, okay, I'm making this pitch. Here's the investment. Right. It's a people business.
It's a people business.
And so I learned from that. And again, it goes back to gratitude. Like, I'm grateful for that experience, because if I didn't go through that, like, would I have known? Would I have said, okay, that approach didn't work. Let me fine tune. Let me figure out what resonates and how to speak to clients, right? Remember, I was speaking to portfolio managers who manage money,
right?
High yield bond funds. Like, I'm not talking to just, regular people.
Right.
So that's something that I'm happy I learned the course of the past 2 years since starting at JP Morgan. It's really about the people. And so knowing yourself and self-love and being able to connect with your clients and connect with people is first and foremost. And I think that's what, maybe women might have a little bit more in tune with, right? A lot of the times, I think, in this male dominated field, like you rarely hear, how are you feeling? Like, I always ask my clients, how are you feeling about the portfolio? How do you feel about the markets?
Yep.
Like, lead with that. And then they might tell you an answer you didn't even think of. And then you're able to give a better solution, a better investment, better advice that way.
Interestingly, I think women are better in the business.
Are
Candidly.
you just saying that?
No, I'm serious. But there's not as many of them because they don't stay.
They don't stay. No.
Yeah,
and
why do you think that's the case?
I think there's various reasons. I think there might be less flexibility in, raising a family. They might choose a different career that, we as a society, as programming have told women that they're better suited for that.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I think it takes a certain personality to be in that seat and stay for long, right? You have to have thick skin. And I think a lot of women, we internalize it. We're maybe a little bit more in tune with the emotion rather than the logic part of the brain, right? The motion. And so we take things a little more personally. We're a little bit more afraid to rock the boat or upset others. And I think that you have to have, like I said, thick skin when you're pitching investments.
Yeah.
And sometimes you're going to be wrong.
And how do you overcome it? How do you overcome, you're pitching investments here.
Yeah.
You're gonna be stressed out. What advice do you give? Because it doesn't really matter whether you're pitching an investment or you're starting a new career or you're opening a business or you're pursuing entrepreneurship.
Oh, totally.
Right. You're going to have these emotions, right? Particularly as a woman.
Right.
Right. That, as kids, you get hit with a baseball as a boy, you like rub it off, take a base, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way, for women. So what advice would you, or how do you overcome those challenges?
I think for me, the way I do that is I just bifurcate the logical and emotional parts of the situation. So let me give you an example. I wasn't able to fulfill a client's need, or something happens with client service. I take responsibility of it, but I think of it black and white. Say logically, okay, here's the situation. What avenue, or what path can I go down to remedy or fix? Like, rather than getting upset or agitated or hothead, I think a lot of the times we find ourselves reacting rather than responding. Right? You hear that dialogue of like, you have to respond in a way. Like, what actions can I take to fix this or make the situation better, rather than reacting and throwing your hands up and saying, I don't know what to do.
Right? Just
because
take one bite at a time, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that you have to be really honest with yourself too, right? You know what you know what you don't know. If you are trying to BS your way out of it, you're going to end up in a tough situation.
Yeah.
So
I find that a lot. with people.
Yeah.
in
So
general.
I think being honest, being authentic, and not reacting, but rather responding, and thinking logically about the situation.
So what's it like? I just can't imagine your role. If you asked me at your generic enough age, I would have said you could be 25.
Oh, thanks. The Botox is working.
You could also you could also be 35. I have no idea, right? What's it like to deal with high net worth people? Like if you think about the institutional investor or you think about high net worth people, I mean, I would think that would be a little intimidating at times because these people have wild amounts of success.
Definitely.
How do you deal with those types of folks?
Well, I think that, a lot of the times, like I see founders in the biotech and life space community and folks like yourself who, have a story and a background, and being able to hear that, I mean, it's very impressive, and it's, humbling and inspiring, and working with them is, a pleasure for the most part. And
Sometimes.
no, but they worked hard for their money, and if they don't want to take my advice at the end of the day, they don't have to, right? But I have this lens of, okay, people are people. If my client wants to move outside the country because they don't like or approve of the new administration,
Right.
I'm not going to say, oh, you're crazy and you have to do this. You have to keep your money invested in equities. Like, listen to people. People are people at the end of the day. And so someone with that type of wealth, they have a story, they have a background, they're just people too. And everyone just wants to be heard. And like I said, it's their money at the end of the day. They can do whatever they want with it. But leading with advice, I do take my job seriously because you're dealing with, notional 25 million plus money. And so having, attention to detail and care is very important. But it's a pleasure working with them. I think, I've only been in the business for 2+ years, but I haven't had, knock on wood, too many hiccups yet. So I think, just treat people like they're people and lead with love and lead with heart. And like I said, really listen. It's about being a listener.
So where'd all this come from, right? So let's just back up.
Sure.
So where'd you grow up? What'd your
Yes.
parents do? What led Emily to be Emily?
I know, the
what
story.
What are the building blocks that sort of have brought you to where you are today?
Of course. I'll start with my parents.
Okay.
Because they are the framework for the hard work.
Okay.
Really the concept of showing up on time. My mom is a flight attendant for American Airlines.
It's a lot.
That's why I get to
You have to be
fly
there
for
on
free.
time, right?
Yeah, I get to fly for free.
Which is
It's a
cool.
perk.
Very cool.
And dad's electrical contractor. He has his own business.
Okay.
And
Entrepreneur.
yeah. Oh yeah. Ever since and he's near retirement.
Yeah.
Go dad. But ever since I grew up, they showed up, got up at 5 a.m., went to work, and we did what we had to. We weren't rolling in money. I didn't know if I was going to go to school. I think they really laid the groundwork of those skills that I have today. And I think that they're applicable, right, to any career, So I'm really appreciative of that. But grew up in Scituate.
Yep.
It's a coastal town in between Cape
Cute.
Cod
Very
and
cute.
Boston.
Yeah. Nice place.
I love going back, and I'm like, wow, I was so spoiled living here on the
had
beach.
no idea, right?
I had no idea.
I had no idea.
I know, in my apartment now in the city, but started there. Was a really good student, super nerdy. I was academic. I got a scholarship for school.
At Bentley?
Bentley.
Wow. Good for you.
That's the only way I could afford it.
Yeah.
Like I said, I didn't know if I was going there. I told my guidance counselor I wanted to go to Tampa to go party, and he said no. He was like, "You have a 4.0 something.
You get a 4.0.
can't
You
go."
don't go to University of Tampa with a 4.0.
And the others, it was the only school I applied to in Massachusetts. Everywhere else, my mom's from Texas,
Yeah.
the San Antonio area,
Nice.
and dad's from Scituate. So I wanted to go warm weather, and and my dad came back. He told me that one of his clients said Bentley's a really good business school, and my
certainly
mom
is.
had taken accounting classes. So I said, okay, I'll try out accounting at Bentley, and had no money. I had no money. I had to take out loans, federal, private, and then a portion of that was scholarship. And so I played tennis my first year, and then I had to work because I didn't have any money. So I just worked hard, and I think also I'm so grateful for going there because the students, it was 4,000 undergrads, but the students are so motivated.
They are.
Freshman year, they're like, what internship do you have? I go,
What's an
we're supposed
internship?
I'm like, I'm going to go teach tennis this summer and
Right,
lifeguard.
yeah.
What? So, it was great. In small class sizes, you're probably in 20 to 30 size rooms with your professor. And so I studied accounting. I go, this is really boring. I can't do this anymore. And then I started taking finance classes, and I just worked. I did every job you could possibly think of. I graded papers for statistics and calculus. Like I said, I was a math nerd.
Sounds terrible.
Oh yeah, I was a tutor. I had friends on the football team. I dated one of the guys on the football team, but I had friends on the football team, and I'd write their papers on Bruce Springsteen for some money and some beer. And
But we won't. That's cheating. But we won't. I
but
don't
I
think
did
that's cheating
a
these
number,
days.
and then I was working some of the bars in Boston and like doing bar crawls for cash. And
Did you play tennis in high school?
I did.
You did.
I was doubles. I love it, and I'm very good at pickleball now.
I was going to say, don't you dominate the pickleball court? You can beat every middle-aged man out there.
Oh, I can. So I've
Nothing to
only
be proud of him.
I've only played a handful of times. I got out there the other day. My pickleball partner, he is amazing. He's my neighbor, and he does Tai Chi by our pool down here every day.
Okay.
And
fun.
he told me with maybe 2 months of fine-tuning my skills, I'm a 4.0 or 4.5.
I don't know what that means, but
Okay.
it's like
very
handicapping.
good.
Is that handicapping in like golf? Is that what for pickleball?
It's like ranking status.
Okay.
It's similar to tennis.
What do you think tennis taught you that you applied? So I'm always fascinated. I never played sports my whole life. When I got older, I snowboarded, and I've led a lot of people. I've trained a lot of people, and I find people that have played sports are different in terms of how they face challenges than people who didn't. What do you think sports taught you that you apply in life today?
Oh, totally. I mean, showing up, discipline. When things don't go your way, you lose a point. How to, again, not react, respond.
Get up and go.
Get up
right?
and go. Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. I was a big doubles. I like the team dynamic. I like the fast at the net. So I was always a doubles player. But, yeah, just taking responsibility, showing up as your team, and then I remember, too, I was not named captain. There was a mean girl on my team. We won't name names. And, she wasn't very nice, and she took over as captain, and that should have been me. And I think coming from adversity like that, too, and showing up, and, I was a senior, and being the responsible one on the team to demonstrate to the freshmen, this is how a team member shows up and plays. Even if they don't get picked for captain.
So if you're playing tennis, you go into Bentley, if you're 20-year-old you today, right, and you look back where you are today versus where you were, is it what you thought it was going to be? Did you know what you were going to be doing?
I had no idea. So this plays into it too. It's like I always thought, like I said, I always have that not enough. It's not enough. And so going back to my parents, they got up early. I was at Bentley. I woke up at 5 every day. I worked out. I went to the library, and I was either in class at career services or studying, until 4 or 5. And then I'd, hit the gym, do errands or whatever, and maybe party, maybe not.
Maybe a few drinks here and there.
Maybe. I had discipline.
Yeah.
it was just black or white. you go, you work, I knew what I needed to do. It wasn't like, oh, I want to be wealthy. I want to be this. I want to be
Right.
that. I knew I had debt, and that was part of it. But I knew, I wanted to be the best who I, could be. And I knew I had potential. And I said, I want to learn as much as I can. I want to max out my potential. And I think it's a journey. It's an odyssey, right? You're never ending, right? You're still on your odyssey. You're still learning.
Yeah, every day.
I never set out and said, oh, I want to be an FA or, I want to be in the seat I am today. It just kind of unfolded.
It's interesting. So discipline seems like it's come easy to you, where it doesn't for a lot of people.
It's tough.
Some of that you learned early on from sports, right?
Yes.
So like you
Yes,
applied,
and my parents.
and your parents were like, okay, we're getting up early, we're working really hard, and we're going to go do that. Some parents aren't that way, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And it seems to, I always say this, some certain people, like a very difficult task, they make it look easy because they just show up and do it, right?
Right.
Other people, they just get really emotional about it and don't show up and do it. What advice would you give to somebody who it's not natural? I believe the best opportunities for career and life don't come through career services. The best way for you to become the best possible version of yourself and achieve massive levels of success is for you to be hungry, coachable, and try to find those opportunities directly. Take the Power Back was created to flip that switch, to not have any limitations in terms of the opportunities that are out there in front of you. That's what this platform is really all about. Real jobs, real access, real opportunities, and most importantly, no gatekeepers. Are you serious about success? Then let's take the power back. Join the movement.
Yeah, I think, exactly what you said. I think that a lot of people in their head, they're like, oh, I don't want to do that. I don't feel like doing that. Think about long term. What would it's the Matthew McConaughey quote or something, I think, right? His idol or the person he's working to be, his hero, is him in 10 years. Think about
the next version of yourself.
It's the next version of yourself.
It's a great idea.
I like my chocolate and I like my martinis, maybe too much sometimes. But I in my long-term version, in a year or in 2026, do I want to fit in those white pants? Like, do I want to be a certain way and show up a certain way? The actions lead you there on a day-to-day basis. Those people need to think about where they want to be long-term and would they think themselves, right? Are they going to show up in 10 years and be that hero like Matthew McConaughey? So I think just start small. It's baby steps and it's day by day. If you can get up a little bit earlier, if you can hit 3 tasks, right, that you have to think about to get to the long-term goal. I told you before this, but I always think in my head, I have a long-term goal. I always hit my goals because I write them down. Actually, I go to the Black Rose in Boston after my CFA exams, and I write them on the back of the receipt. Not a joke.
And then you bring them home.
And then I bring them home, and
simply, right? It's simple.
Oh yeah. And then I look at my goals and I say, okay, if I want to achieve these, what actions do I need to take every day to get me there?
Yeah.
And I achieve all of them because I just do it. And it's hard. It's hard, right? You have to show up. You have to put aside those voices of, oh, I'm tired. Maybe I'll do it tomorrow. I think, showing up, and even if you're not 100%, like show up at 90%. Right. I think part of it is just showing up. People are afraid too. And I think that will get you there a lot faster. But it's definitely not easy. Definitely not all the time.
The psychology, and I think people underestimate the power in this. I think there was like something that said 80% of people have no goals, right? And then like 14% have goals, but they're not written. And only 6% or something actually have written specific goals they're trying to do. And I think the psychology of, and it doesn't have to be complex, but having a goal, what you'll find is when you write it down on paper and you look at it regularly, you don't always achieve everything exactly the way you want, but you can cross that off the list, and that
Right.
gives you confidence over time.
What's that song? You can't always get what you want.
That's
No, I'm
right.
kidding.
But you can't get what you need, you know.
But
Can't
if you
always get
try
what
sometimes, you'll find you get what you need.
That's right. That's
Oh,
right.
yeah, that's life, though.
Yeah.
That's another thing. Oh, so there's a vice chairman, John, who works at JP Morgan. He's on the Pierpont team. And I think it was after I was training in Manhattan, early innings of JP career. And we were talking about top brokerage ideas and, talking about the world. And he's been there for years. And he's one of the top investors at the private bank. He's quite admirable. And he told me about this book. It's called Who Moved My Cheese?
Yeah, I love that book.
You know the book?
I do.
He goes, you got to read this book. Okay, sure. I'm like, it looks like a picture book, a children's picture book. What? He goes, Mary Erdos used to require every employee to read that book.
Yeah.
I go, okay, I'll just Amazon it. It's $10.
That's a great book.
So I get in the mail, and I might have been hungover that day or something. I'm on my couch and sipping my tea, and I go, oh, I'll give it a whirl. Read it one full swoop. That book, Jason, I think is the mindset that people need to have today to be successful. And it's about, it's about the cheese stockpile. The mouse goes back every day.
Yep.
And then they
Goes
see
away.
it, and then they see the cheese diminish,
Yep.
and there's no cheese at the end of the maze. And there's two mice
Yep.
that start, exploring other parts of the maze because they say, well, if the cheese is going away, one day it won't be there. So we need to pivot and think ahead, strategize. And the other two mice, what do? They keep going
keep going
back
back.
and expecting the cheese to still be there,
Right.
and then are disappointed, and they even go back when it's not there and they're hanging around. And I think the ability to pivot, right? Because the world's always changing. It's always evolving around us. I mean, look at how much has changed and how much is going to change with AI, and the
Right.
innovation is
Yeah.
remarkable.
It's amazing.
And so you don't want to be the mouse going back to that part of the maze where there's not going to be any cheese left for you.
Well, and that's important because you have to continue to evolve yourself. Like you said, you have your personal development goals constantly. If you're always evolving, right, and you're always growing,
Right.
then you're not subject to the depreciating cheese.
No,
Right.
no, exactly. But you have to be honest with yourself and aware of the times. So I think that's very important.
The a lot of times I think when people think about goals, they're like, I'm going to be whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just a wish list. Do you ever do that? Just be like, all right, I'm going to go travel 4 places. I'm going to go,
Yeah.
these are the 5 places I want to travel. This is the home that I want to have.
Oh,
These
yes.
are the life I want to live. This is how I'd like to be remembered, right? Do
Yeah.
you do things like that? Affirmations?
All the
Yeah.
time. Yeah. I think a lot of people are hearing more about affirmations and the wish list. And I agree. I think if you put limiting beliefs on you, that's your
Yeah.
ceiling, and you are causing that.
That's right.
So I think really, there's limitations because you might not have the opportunity because of the money thing, right? Something might cost a lot operational capex. Or you think about a startup, right? You run out of money. I hear it from, I was at the Hellenic Innovation Group. They had a meeting and we're talking, CEOs and executives of life science and biotech community in Boston. And they're even, asking for money. But you see it with startups. And I think that the capital can be, kind of a limit to your growth. But everything else, right? If you think outside the box, the world's your oyster.
Right.
You really can reach for anything. And I think people need to take more moonshots. And it goes back also to what I was saying about, when you put limiting beliefs on yourself, you're slowing your growth. But today, in the society we see today, there's a lot of programming. There's a lot of loud voices, especially on social media. So this is another thing I didn't say, but I didn't have social media for 2 years when I was going through training in JP Morgan. Like I had it before, I deleted the whole thing. I got a new
Just got
one
sick of
after,
it.
but
Yeah.
I was just sick of it.
Yeah.
I was sick of it. And then I said, I want to quiet those, I want to quiet
Voices.
society
Yeah.
and programming
It's interesting.
and, get rid of the ego. You have to step aside from the ego and listen to yourself truly. And I wanted to work on myself and only listen to myself. And I think that's how you start believing what's your soul calling and what's your purpose, because you're not listening to anyone else.
Right. There's nobody that's influencing what your thoughts are because
Exactly.
you don't have it. So by deleting it,
Exactly.
you're able to be clear.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Yes. And I think that it's hard with society today because you have to buy a house, you have to get a mortgage, you have to have kids, you have to be married by a certain time. It's like, what if you just throw that to the side, stop putting beliefs and stop putting yourself in this box.
Yeah.
Like really, you take some moonshots, but you have to be honest with yourself of what that life looks like and what are your dreams really, not what society is telling you should do, or that you should be thinking of, or the timeline. Like we're in such a new age where you can be anything, you can really do anything, right?
Quickly too.
Yes.
If you're smart about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I
That's
think,
very cool.
Yeah, I think it's wonderful.
So now you've got, so you mentioned something before I want to go back to. You have a mentor. Her name was what?
Sally Vale.
And I just think the power of mentorship and picking the right one and the power of coaching
Yes.
are the things that drive the absolute most out of who you become as a human being.
It's true. And I would kick myself if I didn't mention Shannon O'Mara. She leads credit research at Loomis Sales, and she started, it's called the UN program, Undergraduate Women's Investment Network.
Oh, I love it.
I was one of the first 5 interns. She took a shot on me because I interviewed with her as a sophomore. Again, I'm learning my way and thought I was public accounting. And I was like, this is boring.
I hate this.
Someone take me. And she interviewed me and she's like, how do you follow the news? I'm like, oh, I read the Wall Street Journal and the elliptical and we're at school and, I try to keep up with the times. And she's like, okay, you seem like, you seem qualified. So it was one of the first 5. And now I believe it was 2 schools she started with. It's well over 20. She's grown this program.
That's really cool.
It is amazing what she does. And she was one of my first mentors. So I want to give a shout out to her.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've just been so grateful for the amount of people that have supported me, not just women, men. I mean, some of the men managers I've had were phenomenal and just believed in me and supported me and, always asked, what do you need to develop your career? I think it's so great that you're studying for your CFA exam. And then now with JP Morgan, working with all the guys on the desk. But having that mentorship, having Sally, someone who believes in you and has walked that path is invaluable.
How do you use that for your own development? Do you go to Sally with, you said something, you said, I want to grow more as a professional, and how do I do that? You're asking yourself these very important questions, right? I want to show up differently 10 years from today. These are very, very, very important questions. So
Definitely.
do you bring sort of those questions that you're asking yourself to a mentor? Is that because that person shows up the way you would like to show up? How does that work?
I always want an outside opinion.
Right.
So I'm always asking, what was your journey like? What were some of the challenges that you had in this industry and also in life, right? Because I'm curious. I want to know more about her path, some of the lessons that she's learned, and maybe they'll apply to me. Maybe it's not the right season, right? Maybe
Right.
I don't care about that, or I'm not going through that challenge, or, it's not topical to where my brain is at that moment, but I'm always going to her and asking her opinion because I value her. She's walked the walk. She's enlightened. She's awakened in my mind, I think. And she's successful.
Yeah.
Right. And so why wouldn't I want to take that knowledge that she has, right? Because if you think about it, like the most valuable thing that you can share with someone is wisdom and guidance. And so she shares it with me. I can share it there with her niece and the younger community and the kids who reach out to me every day on LinkedIn. Miss Richard, can I please grab 15 minutes of your time for a phone call? So, yeah, I think it's also how my brain always works. It's just like, how can I improve this process? It's like optimization, how can I be more efficient? But it all matches to my goals eventually. But with the thinking that, I would love to pass this down and instill some of these concepts and skills in the younger generation, because I think that gives them a leg up, right? And so passing those down to someone that, is early on in their career, doesn't know what they want to do, doesn't know if they want to go to nonprofit or they want to go corporate, someone who's starting out and wants to do something different and start their own thing and have ownership of that, right? Like any skills or lessons that I've learned that I can teach them and show them, it's invaluable, right? And you also save time.
Yeah.
Time is money.
Right.
So
what's cool about that too is that this is what Take the Power Back's all about, right? It's all about giving people the opportunities that are ahead of them, whether it's mentorship, an incubator, a job, or career, or inspiration to follow somebody. What I hope someday is somebody sees your story and says, you know what, I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up, but when I saw Emily and her progression, it resonated with me, and I could go pursue that. And now they'll be able to say, great, can I get 15 minutes of your time?
Right.
Which I think is an important step for young people to think, all right, let me go find somebody that I want to show up with in the future. And then how do I go and find that person to ask them to give you some mentorship? Totally.
And like I said, I get a lot of inbounds on LinkedIn. I say, yes, you can always call me. Yeah. Here's my number. Call me after market close. And these students, they just want to pick your brain. What's your day in the life? How'd you get there? The questions you're asking me.
Right.
I tell them, work hard, play hard.
Yeah, it's always the case.
But no, for them, I think it's so important to have someone who's done that walk, right? Here's the skills. Here's the things you should think about. And like I said, we're in a people business.
Yeah.
I'm always connecting people. So maybe there's a job over at this firm or this fund, and I know someone over there. Let me introduce you to that person. So in school at Bentley, I was always networking.
Yeah.
I always would look to reach out to the low man on the totem pole at any job I applied to or any firm that I was interested in. And I said, hey, can we get coffee? And then who else can I talk to?
Go up the road.
And you go up.
Right.
So I think that's important, is just, sharing that network with others, especially younger students or people that are earlier on in their career.
So when we were out there, I asked you something about what do you want to be? I don't know if it was what do you want to be when you grow up, but it was something to that extent. And you said something I thought was really interesting, where your passion lies around your purpose.
Right.
What would you mind sharing what that is?
Sure. I think my purpose has gotten a lot more clear. And like I said, I spent the last decade or so building a foundation so I'd feel sturdy and confident enough to now share my purpose and get clear on my purpose. And I think that's really instilling confidence in the younger generation in thinking about, whether it's wealth, whether it's career progression, in establishing, the pathway for them, like showing them the light, right? Giving them the power, the confidence to move forward in, whether it's entrepreneurship or in sales or in finance, right? Giving them the tools that they need. But really sharing the next generation, like, yes, you can.
Right.
Yes, you can. Go out and do the work. You're capable, right? Like, if it's my story or your story that can inspire others, I think it's important to share that and share that with the younger generation and share it with others in the industry. And you know why? I want to go back.
Yeah.
I want to go back, and I didn't. This is what I wanted to mention.
Okay.
Yes, you can, and you can teach yourself anything. I think this is so important. This is my message.
This is what I know. I know now what I wanted to say.
This is my message. Like I said, I didn't have any money in school,
right?
And so I wasn't clear on what I wanted to do. I didn't know. Everyone said accountant, finance. I just kind of paved the way, and I found where my interest was, right? And
Yeah.
investing and in finance. But I wanted to help people.
That was the core
Right?
of it.
That was the core of it. But I said, I can only help others if I'm whole. And so I left, Jason. I had almost $100,000 in student loans.
Ouch.
Yes, ouch. And so my mom did the best she could at, helping me with like taking out private loans. And out of school, Jason, I got this career in, credit research, started at Loomis Sales, but I refinanced my student loan, shy of $100,000, maybe 2 years out. I paid it down. I paid it off completely. I had no debt. It was my goal
Wow.
4 years after.
Good for
and
you.
I remember I sat on the bench facing the Boston Tea Party outside of work and cried during lunch. I was like, I don't know how I'm going to get out of debt.
Yeah.
And I did it.
Good for
And
you.
then 2 years, was it 2 years or a few years after that, like I said, I picked up that NOLO's first homeowner guide, 3% mortgage. I taught myself all of this. Yes, you
Good for
can.
you.
You can, right? And so I'm blessed with the mentors I had, but I did do it myself. And I think that the kids just need confidence.
Yeah.
They need confidence that yes, you can do it. And in the moment, it seems hard, right? I never thought I was going to pay off my student loans.
Right.
I never thought I was going to own my own place. And now I'm here down in Miami.
Right. Now you have two places. Right?
But I think sharing that with others is giving me the most satisfaction. And at the end of the day, we're all we pass away. It's like how did you make people feel? Did you improve the lives of others? And that's what's really important to me at this point. But like I said, I needed that foundation. I wanted no debt. I wanted solid career, hit all my goals. And then from there, I can share that with others. So that was really
what's fascinating that you say that
point.
to me is that there is so many people out there that tell you what you can't do. Right. So
that's the voices,
that's
the
that
programming,
voice, right?
the
That's
egos,
programming,
right?
Right.
Yes.
And that's other people defining what you're capable of is a recipe for not having the level of success that you should have.
Right.
And what I love about your story here is that you said delete those, focus on what you are going to do, not what anybody tells you you
Right.
can't do, and pursue it.
And then it's also the comparison trap, right? The
Right.
devil's showing us, oh, well, my life doesn't look like that.
Correct.
I'm inferior. I'm not doing this. Get rid of it.
Yeah.
Get rid of it. And
Press
then just
delete.
Yeah, press delete and be authentic and be true to you. And if someone else is saying, "Oh, that seems like a lot of work."
Yeah.
Or, "Oh, that seems like a hard hurdle." Or, are you sure you really want to do that? You're going to waste a lot of your life, and that's
Yeah.
a high risk. Good. Go for that goal.
That means you're doing the right thing.
That means
Right.
you're doing the right thing.
I've said this before, and I probably told you this. My dad, when I decided I was going to be a financial advisor, I dropped out of college, right? So nothing I'm proud of. And we're sitting across the table, and they used to have this thing called the True Scoop. And I went to work at Constitution Plaza, the where Old Ironside is. That was
Okay.
where my
Yes.
office
Oh,
was
yeah.
in Boston.
Okay.
And they wrote down all these things. You're going to want to quit. You have to pay your own expenses. The fail rate is very high, and
Right.
it's long hours. And he says, "You sure you want to do this?" I was like, "Absolutely." And he's like, "You could really stay in your current job and make $50,000 a year." Fast forward, 10 years later, and he's, I was always so supportive. I'm like, I don't remember it that way. I don't.
Are you sure?
Are you sure?
I know.
That's
Yeah.
not the
Oh,
way
yeah.
That's my story. I'm going to tell it how I want, but that's not the way it went for me.
So
right?
those are the other limiting beliefs, right? If
Right.
you listen to those voices. I mean, my dad has supported me along the way, but I remember every career path or career change. Are you sure you have it? You have it really good here.
Right.
What if But I think, again, having confidence in yourself and knowing your path and you have your tool set and skills, it trumps all. So
Right. Those are the goals, right?
those are the goals.
And if you continue to be have a bigger vision for yourself,
Totally.
it'll keep you growing and
Invest in
developing as a person.
yourself.
Exactly.
I think you need to invest in yourself. A lot of people don't because they doubt themselves.
Yeah.
So if you can invest in yourself, set yourself up for success, build that foundation, and like I said, easier said than done. I mean, I was at the office like 2 a.m. early, career, grinding it out,
Yeah.
crying on the weekends because I was studying for the CFA and my friends are out
And the
dating
seven
and
and all-
partying.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. You know what? It's all worth it. I think you're never gonna look back and said, "Oh, I wish I didn't work as hard." You know, I think the hard work pays off.
Right.
But you have to live your life too, and you only get one shot. You gotta make sure it's authentic to you and your goals, and you're not just following in the path and the footsteps of someone else because they told you to do it.
Right. Amen to that.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I think sometimes people forget this. Everybody that I know, including yourself, is you romanticize all of the work that you put in, right? Because it defined your success on the way out the door. But if you didn't have all that grind and you had the success, you don't have a good story to tell, right? And you have to get to that pain of hard work and integrity and showing up all the time
Right.
and trying to become better in order for you to ultimately achieve the greatest.
You have to be comfortable with the uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I always thought, if something scares me, if I'm afraid of something, or if something is uncomfortable to me, I want to explore that and then work myself so I get to the point that I'm not afraid.
Yeah.
So I used to pitch new issues. So
Yeah.
in the new issue market, we used to have to write a report at Loomis,
Yeah.
run down to the trading floor where Dan Fuss and team were,
Yeah.
Bond King.
He's the
And,
king.
I was early 20s and everyone else older. And I, those seeds of doubt, I don't know if we can do this or whatever.
Right.
But I said, no, Emily, I'm going to run down there, talk about utilities. And it was 2018 with the campfire and everything too, and
Yeah.
PCG and bankruptcy. And it was hard. And I said, I'm going to keep doing this until I'm confident in doing that. And I think if you just keep putting yourself in those positions, eventually it's just like
It'll
you're
click.
walking an easy walk. Yeah.
Yeah, whatever you do over and over and over again, your experience will get you better and better and better, and that's the only way to grow.
Definitely. And a lot of that is training on the job with this new role and switching careers, right? I was like, oh, wait, where's the manual? There's no manual.
There's no manual. You just
There's
figure it out.
no manual. And I think, like I said, you have to have thick skin, but
Yeah.
you also have to roll with the punches, get back up. Because it's never going to pan out how you think it's going to.
No.
Never take no as an answer and just keep going. I think the people that stop, right? The problem is the people that stop,
Yeah.
they don't believe in themselves. They say, oh, I can't do it. It's that last inning. It's that last 10 yards.
It is.
That's the hardest one, right? I saw it, what was it? This is my Massachusetts, Tom Brady.
Tommy.
When they were down, it was 328.
28-3. Yes,
You
the
gotta
Falcons.
believe, you have to believe in yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what really matters.
Greatest game ever.
It's awesome.
Those are good ones. So what's next for Emily Richard? What's next?
Like I said, I'm going to fine tune my business, grow my book with JP Morgan, and think about how, I said I
You
have
can impact.
my foundation, but think about how I can now impact my community in Boston at a larger scale. And then also now I have a presence in Miami, so I'll be down here as well.
Great. Well, listen, thank you for being my financial advisor.
Of
Right?
course.
So that's a.
Thank you for having me
I know
here.
I'm a pain in the ass.
You're really not.
I am.
I could tell you some stories
Right.
offline.
Exactly. They're not about me. That's
No.
just so everybody knows those stories. But I appreciate you doing this and taking the time. I'm very impressed with your success and how you think about
Thank
your
you.
journey. And I'm really looking forward to you really helping take the power back, right? In
I
any way,
support it
shape,
all
or
the way.
form. And I appreciate that because we do share that passion of saying these young people need mentorship.
Yes.
Right? Like they need, somebody to look at that's for them.
And we're here to help.
And we're here to help.
Yes.
So thank you again.